The government, not like the Liberals think that the government can create jobs. It's the private sector, Mr. Speaker, whether that's small business, medium-sized business, or large business. It's the private sector that creates jobs and not the government.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Tobique-Mactaquac.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm truly honoured to rise and speak on behalf of my riding of Tobique-Mactaquac today in favour of Bill C-29. I'll be splitting my time with the honourable member from Gatineau. 1 year ago, the people of Tobique-Mactaquac entrusted me with the responsibility of being their Member of Parliament. As a new MP, the last year has been full of learning, challenges, and new relationships. Overall, it has been an overwhelmingly positive experience for me, as I've worked on behalf of my constituents and with them on the opportunities and concerns related to their everyday lives. Mr. Speaker, the investments we as a government are making to strengthen the middle class and to help those working hard to join it have been unprecedented. Our economy will grow not only in the short term, but over the long term as well as a direct result of them. Canada is one of the first countries in the world to have put into practice the idea that when you have an economy that works for the middle class, you have a country that works for everyone. Mr. Speaker, we listened to Canadians when they told us that they were working harder than ever, but not getting ahead. That is why we've put in place a plan to help them not only in the present, but also in the future, Mr. Speaker. Measures like cutting taxes for close to 9 million Canadians who need it most, while also increasing taxes on the wealthiest 1%. Introducing the Canada Child Benefit, which puts more money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 families with children, helping them in their present need and ensuring that they have the tools to succeed in the future. This investment alone will raise over 300,000 children out of poverty. As a government, we signed an agreement with the provinces to enhance the Canada Pension Plan so that those entering the workforce now and future generations of workers can be assured of a stable and dignified retirement. Measures like increasing monthly payments for the most vulnerable seniors, especially single seniors, and restoring the old age eligibility for old age security to 65 years of age. In my riding, I've conducted numerous Let's Talk events, consultations on topics such as Canada Summer Jobs, infrastructure, climate change, electoral reform, economic development, youth and job creation, employment insurance, pre-budget 2016, pre-budget 2017, and general town hall meetings quarterly on any open topic which my constituents wish to speak with me about. Our Seniors Healthy Living and Aging Well Expo was attended by over 200 seniors and illustrates that seniors are a priority in my riding and will continue to do so. Notre gouvernement travaille aussi dans l'aspect.
Our government is working diligently to ensure the success of young Canadians. This summer, I was able to see for myself how Budget 2016 helped young people acquire valuable experience thanks to our Canada Summer Jobs program.
In my riding alone, funding was increased for Canada Summer Jobs by $221,000. We have doubled the number of jobs funded in 2016 by giving businesses and organizations who applied for funding the opportunity to put more young people to work and the opportunity to earn an income and valuable experience that they will carry with them as they transition into the workforce in the coming years. Youth in my riding have come together with their voices to be heard. Our Tobique-Mactaquac Youth Constituency Council has met and they understand the government respects and values their input. Our budget committed to increasing grants for students from low and middle income families as well as part-time students. And we have done all this while simultaneously making strong investments in infrastructure that will help small and medium-sized businesses to grow and take advantage of the current and upcoming opportunities as we transition into a cleaner, greener economy. Since November of 2015, an unprecedented number of businesses and non-for-profit organizations in my riding have received business development funding through ACOA, an organization that plays an integral role in the economic development of rural Canada in the Atlantic provinces. Over 25% of municipalities and non-for-profit organizations in Tobique-Mactaquac have been approved for Canadian Infrastructure Program funding, CIP 150, for projects such as upgrades to local parks, renovations, enhancements to our community facilities. Mr. Speaker, this type of infrastructure funding is of great importance not only to my riding, but to ridings all across this country. David Dodge has said that over the past 10 years, Canada has been in an infrastructure deficit. Not enough has been being committed to infrastructure renewal, and now more than ever, the provinces need a federal partner that they can work collaboratively with to address these challenges, whether it's our crumbling roads and bridges, or ports and rail access. Monsieur le Président, ma circonscription de
Mr. Speaker, my riding of Tobique-Mactaquac is a vast rural riding that depends heavily on the agriculture and agri-food sector, which occupies an important place, as well as the sectors of manufacturing and natural resources.
I own a farm myself, producing seed potatoes, oil seeds, small grains, and having worked both within primary agriculture, construction, transportation, and food processing. Prior to being elected last year, I have an acute understanding of the many challenges faced by our small and medium-sized businesses. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to speak with hundreds of small business owners, as well as large business owners, and to speak with them about the opportunities and challenges of growing their businesses in an ever-changing and increasingly demanding market. I also had the opportunity this fall to host a Rural Economic Development Roundtable with key business stakeholders from my riding to hear their thoughts on Budget 2016 and how they feel they can leverage hard work with the initiatives put forth by our government to seize opportunities to grow their businesses. They collectively praised our government's efforts to invest in infrastructure, citing it as traditionally being a major impediment to growing a company in a rural environment. Business owners spoke of the positive potential impacts that the Atlantic Growth Strategy will have in the years to come, allowing us to tailor programming investments, not only in infrastructure, but also in innovation, green technology, skills training, market development, and immigration to the 4 Atlantic provinces. And Mr. Speaker, I completely agree with them. As one of the 32 elected Liberal MPs from Atlantic Canada, I'm proud of the approach that this government has taken through Budget 2016 and the Atlantic Growth Strategy to address the need for increased immigration through the Atlantic Immigration Pilot that will allow us to grow our population and allow businesses growth with the certainty that we as a government will be partnering with them to help them flourish. In my riding, we have successfully welcomed Syrian newcomers and families in Woodstock, Perth Andover, Nakwit, Florenceville, Bristol. And with the help of many hands serving on community boards and ensuring newcomers feel comfortable and supported. Giving newcomers the opportunity to access to the necessary supports, training, and tools to become employed and fully integrated into the community is a priority for the employers and for the volunteers in my riding. Harrison McCain once said, if you are in business or starting a business, you should do it with a plan to grow. Working hand in hand with government is essential to allowing this to happen, and successful government programs which allow the private sector to grow are recommended. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this quote very much reflects our government's approach to rural economic development, an approach that government can and should play an active role in helping businesses both big and small, and in both rural and urban environments, access the tools they need to prosper for years to come. This is why we have made specific commitments to help grow Canada's rural and northern community economies, with a $2 billion dedicated investment to help them succeed, because we understand the vital role that rural economies play in the overall health of a nation. Mr. Speaker, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to speak about the work we have done and will continue to do through our first budget, Budget 2016, to begin to address the inequalities with First Nations. We have made historic investments in First Nations through Budget 2016 and renewed the dialogue with First Nations. This past year, I'm particularly proud of the great work of the Tobique First Nation and Woodstock First Nation as they together have moved forward in investing in education, infrastructure, training, and other programs that will directly contribute to better quality of life for Indigenous people within Tobique-Mactaquac. As a member of the Standing Committee on Natural Resources, I fully support our government's commitment to develop our resources sustainably, ensuring that economic prosperity and environmental protection go hand in hand. Helping Indigenous people and ensuring local communities benefit economically and socially, and making resource development a national building exercise. While Canada has the resources to lead the global transition to a lower carbon future, we will only do so by ensuring that our environmental house is in order, continuing to engage meaningfully with Indigenous peoples and earning the confidence of Canadians. Our government is determined to lead the way. We demonstrated that again last week with the decisions we announced on several major pipeline projects. In each instance, the decisions we took were based on solid science, meaningful consultation, and the best interests of Canadians. As the Prime Minister has said, the choice between pipelines and wind turbines is a false one. Bill C-29 speaks to this reality and Canada's potential to create prosperity we seek while protecting the environment we cherish. Finally, we, as Canadians, agree that veterans should be recognized for their service to Canada, and that the Government of Canada's official duty to recognize with respect and dignity the achievement of Canada's veterans and the fallen. The Prime Minister of Canada gave the Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defence the mandate to reopen 9 previously closed Veterans Affairs offices and to hire new service delivery staff to better support veterans and their families where they live. I am proud that our budget 2016 reaffirmed the government's intent to give back to veterans and to deliver on this promise to restore critical access to services. Mr. Speaker, I would like to end my speech today by asking Canadians from coast to coast to coast to join me and my family in thanking the hundreds of Canadian men and women in uniform, to thank them for their efforts and sacrifices, particularly as they spend the holiday season away from their families and family traditions. I wish to thank them for their continued service to our country. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for having the opportunity to represent my riding of Tobique-Mactaquac. I'm looking forward to the new energy and hope that our Prime Minister brings to Canada and to the world. And on behalf of my wife Tanya, our daughters Emma, Madeline, Sarah, and son Jack, I wish you and the entire chamber and my family and friends the best of holiday season. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Caribou Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, and through you, I'd like to ask a very pointed question to our honourable colleague. Through his speech, he had mentioned that his government understands rural Canada, that they are committed to rural Canada. Yet we still have no softwood lumber agreement. We still do not have projects